The morning sun rose gently over the quiet countryside. A light mist floated above the dirt roads, painting everything in pale gold. Far away, the sound of an alarm clock echoed through a small wooden house. Inside, Amara, a 12-year-old black girl, rubbed her sleepy eyes and looked around her tiny room. Cracked walls, a single bed, a faded photo of her late mother on the wall. She got up quietly so she wouldn't wake her grandmother, who coughed softly in her sleep. Amara moved slowly to the kitchen corner, really just a shelf with a few plates, and poured the last drops of milk into a tin cup. She stared at it for a moment, thinking. Then she put the cup down and reached for her backpack. The backpack was old, torn at one corner, and its zipper didn't close all the way. Still, she kept it neat, her notebooks stacked perfectly, her pencils wrapped in an elastic band. Outside, the morning wind was cold. She put on her shoes, one slightly larger than the other, and began to walk. Every day, Amara walked 6 miles to school, not because she wanted to, but because it was her only option. The village bus stopped running months ago, and her grandmother couldn't afford the fare anyway. As she walked, the dirt road stretched endlessly ahead. Trucks roared past, throwing up clouds of dust that coated her clothes. Some drivers stared but didn't stop. Others ignored her completely. Still, she walked, head held high, eyes fixed on the horizon. Along the way, she passed the same things. The white church on the corner, the small pond where ducks floated, the big oak tree where kids from wealthier families waited for their school bus. Sometimes those kids pointed and laughed. "She's walking again. Look at her shoes. Bet she's late. Again." Amara didn't respond. She'd learned that silence was stronger than words. Halfway through the walk, she stopped by a small stream to drink some water. Her reflection looked back at her, tired eyes, but full of quiet fire. "Someday," she whispered, "I'll buy Grandma a car, and I won't have to walk anymore." The school came into view just before 8 a.m. A big, clean building with white walls and tall gates. It felt like another world. Kids arrived in cars, chatting, laughing. Teachers smiled at them. When Amara walked in through the back gate, most didn't notice her. Those who did just stared. She found her usual desk in the corner, right by the window, and opened her notebook. The pages were worn, but the handwriting inside was beautiful and neat. The teacher, Mr. Turner, walked in. "All right, class," he said. "Let's begin with yesterday's homework." Amara froze. She had done the work, every page written carefully by candlelight last night. But she knew what was coming. A few students whispered as Mr. Turner looked around the room. "Amara," he said, "did you finish it this time?" She nodded and stood up, walking to his desk with her notebook. But before she could reach it, a girl named Lily, the daughter of a local councilman, smirked and tripped her foot forward. Amara stumbled, her notebook fell, and the room erupted in laughter. "Watch where you're going, poor girl," Lily said, laughing loudly. Mr. Turner didn't say anything. He just frowned and turned away, pretending not to notice. Amara picked up her notebook quietly and went back to her seat. For the rest of the day, she stayed silent, but her mind didn't stop working. Every number she solved, every word she read, she poured her heart into it. By the time school ended, the sun was already dipping low. Amara began her long walk home again. But this time someone was watching. Across the street, near the corner store, a man adjusted his camera. He had been filming a local documentary about rural life, showing how far kids traveled for education. When he saw Amara walking alone, dust covering her clothes, determination in every step, he pressed record. The next morning, Amara woke up to the same routine. The same cracked alarm clock, the same old shoes, the same road that stretched endlessly ahead. She didn't know the world had already seen her story overnight. By sunrise, millions of people had watched the video online. A little black girl, dusty and tired, walking miles for school. No words, just the sound of her slow footsteps and the wind. The comments were flooding in. This broke my heart. "Someone find this girl." We take so much for granted. News anchors replayed the clip. Reporters wanted to find her name, and hashtags began trending. The girl who walks, hope in her steps, Amara. But Amara had no phone, no internet, no idea. All she knew that morning was that the air felt heavier, and people were staring more than usual. As she walked down the familiar dirt road, she saw a group of people parked nearby. Cameras, microphones, strangers. She froze for a moment, unsure. Then she kept walking. When she reached the school gates, she noticed the same cameraman who had filmed her yesterday. He smiled kindly and waved. "Good morning, sweetheart," he said softly. Amara nodded, nervous. "Good morning, sir. Can I talk to your teacher?" he asked. Inside, whispers spread like wildfire. "Is that the girl?" "Yeah, the one from the video." Even Lily, the girl who used to mock her, looked shocked and suddenly quiet. Mr. Turner, the teacher, came out confused. "What's going on here?" The cameraman explained everything. The video, the attention, the outpouring of support. Mr. Turner blinked in disbelief. "That's incredible." He turned to look at Amara, standing shyly by the wall. "You're famous, young lady." Amara frowned. "Famous?" He nodded, smiling awkwardly. "The whole world saw you walking to school." The principal called her into the office. For the first time, Amara sat on a leather chair, her feet dangling above the floor. Reporters asked gentle questions. "Why do you walk so far? What keeps you going?" She just smiled nervously and said, "Because I want to learn." Her answer melted hearts everywhere. Within hours, donations poured in from around the country. Money, shoes, uniforms, school supplies. A local charity offered to buy her a bicycle. Another organization promised to repair her home and provide her grandmother medical care. The small town that had barely noticed Amara yesterday now buzzed with excitement. But not everyone was happy. Lily sat in the back of the classroom, her lips tight. "She's not even that special," she muttered. "It's just walking." But no one laughed this time. Even her friends stayed silent. Amara didn't pay attention to the noise. She stayed focused, doing her work carefully. When class ended, she helped clean the blackboard, as always. The sun was setting by the time Amara agreed to let the cameraman walk with her. She didn't say much, just quietly adjusted her backpack and started walking down the familiar dirt road again. The same road she'd walked 1,000 times. But today, something felt different. The cameras rolled silently, capturing her every step. Her shoes pressing into the dusty path, the wind playing with her hair, her determined eyes fixed ahead. Once, she stopped to help a little boy who had dropped his books near the old church. Another time, she waved at a farmer passing by. The cameraman whispered to his assistant, "This girl isn't just walking to school. She's walking with purpose." When they reached her small wooden house, Amara ran inside. "Grandma," she called. They came to visit. Her grandmother, old and frail, stepped out slowly, her smile soft and proud. "Well, aren't you all polite for coming all the way out here?" she said, shaking hands with the visitors. The cameraman looked around. The tiny home, the flickering oil lamp, the worn-out furniture, and felt something shift inside him. He turned to Amara. "Can we ask you one last question?" She nodded. He asked gently, "What do you wish for most in the world?" Amara thought for a long moment, her eyes falling on her grandmother. Then she said quietly, "I just want to finish school and make her proud." That line, so simple, so pure, became the headline the next morning. "I just want to make her proud, the girl who walks miles for school." The video reached millions within days. Celebrities shared it. Teachers showed it in classrooms. People cried watching it. Soon the impossible happened. A letter arrived at her doorstep. It was from a major education foundation. They wanted to give Amara a full scholarship to one of the best schools in the state and build a bus stop near her home so no other kid would ever have to walk that far again. When her grandmother read the letter aloud, she couldn't hold back her tears. Amara hugged her tightly, whispering, "We did it, Grandma." The following week, a small ceremony was held at her school. Cameras lined the courtyard, teachers stood proudly, and even Lily and her parents were there. Mr. Turner handed her a new uniform, freshly pressed and bright. He smiled. "You've inspired us all, Amara." She blushed shyly and took the microphone. Her voice trembled a little, but carried strength beyond her years. She said, "Sometimes people think small things don't matter, like walking to school. But every step can take you closer to something big, if you keep going." There was silence, then applause filled the air. The principal wiped her eyes. The cameraman smiled. Even Lily, standing in the crowd, clapped slowly, her expression soft, almost ashamed. Later that day, Amara walked home again, but this time she wasn't alone.